and welcome to today's video. So today we are talking about how to be able to attract brands or how to be able to get PR as a micro influencer. So if you are interested in this video or it's something that you've been wanting to know, then definitely do keep on watching. I'm so extra. Okay, so as we start off, there are certain things that I'd like to debunk, like sort of like myths that I'd like to sort of go against and explain why I don't really think they are true before we even get to the meat of the video. So number one is the idea that brands only reach out to or are only interested in working with macro influencers, who are people who have like followers in the hundreds of the thousands of the millions, you know, the Kardashian kind of, following, which is not true, because especially in this day and age that we live in, a lot of brands are actually looking more towards micro influencers than macro influencers. The reason being because micro influencers have a smaller audience, so their audiences they have more loyalty to them, because when, for example, I tell you, if I am a micro influencer and I tell you, okay, buy this pen, it's good, because I have a smaller audience and because I tend to interact with my audience more, I do have the loyalty or the like my audience trusts me more with a product, or with me saying that, buy this pen, as opposed to a macro influencer who doesn't really get to interact or engage with their audience as much as a micro influencer. So number one, brands do and are interested in working with micro influencers, and I've seen people who have even 5,000 4,000 followers receiving PR packages. So that's not to say that you can't get PR if you don't have 10k followers or 100k followers. Okay, so that's the number one thing that I'd like to explain or talk about. Okay, so one thing that a lot of people usually think about when it comes to PR is there's this, and I used to also think the same way. I was like, wait, this guy has received PR, manze, it must be so nice to receive free products, but let me tell you, there is this myth that, it's so glamorous, receiving free products, and obviously, who doesn't like free products? But the one thing that you should know, if you've never received PR products, is there's work that is attached to whatever product that is sent to you. So either be it posting or mentioning or even just creating content around that product or service that it is that you are pushing. So it's not all roses, Panari Hotel sent me this pen and it's so awesome, you guys should get it, and that's the end of the story. No, sometimes you sign contracts whereby it's like a month of work or content creation, and it involves coming up not just with the content but actually coming up with interesting content. There is this misconception that if you have if you do content creation full time, or you are a digital marketer, then your work is way simple. Guys, it's so much more than that. I actually always say working a 9 to 5 is so much easier than content creation, because you see, in a 9 to 5 you have a structure. You're told, okay, you come to work, you do this, these are your tasks for the day, and this is the report that we'd like, or this is what we'd like you to achieve at the end of the day or at the end of the month. But you see, with content creation, you have to really tap into your creative juices and make sure that you're not just coming up with content, but you're coming up with interesting and interactive content. Okay, so there is a lot of work that goes into the content creation in terms of coming up with a concept or the idea, executing it. That means filming and editing, especially if you don't have a big team. And then after you've already done the behind the scenes, and then now you have to present yourself okay, now this is the product and this is why you should actually get it. So there is a lot that goes behind content creation, behind the scenes, that a lot of people don't usually know about. So if it's something that you're thinking about getting into, definitely think about it in terms of it does have its own share of work. It's not just plain and simple, oh, I got this, guys, you should buy it. And especially for a lot of companies, they look at numbers. Okay, so you've created this content, okay, how many people have you have you attracted, or how many people have bought? Has it translated into sales, or has it only translated into inquiries? You understand what I mean? So really think about that, especially when you're looking into getting into this field, whether it is part-time or full-time. Yeah, it does have its own share of work. So now let's get into the meat now of the video, because the video is about how to get PR sent to you as a micro influencer. So number one is you have to have interesting and interactive content, and this is not in terms of like product, like company A sent me this. No, this is just your own. For example, I am in makeup, beauty and makeup, so I have to make sure that I come up with interesting content so that whichever brands I am targeting get to be able to see my content and get to think, this is probably something that someone who we would love to work with or partner with to be able to push our brand, you see. So number one, you have to have interactive, interesting content on your page. And nowadays, guys, it's not as hard as it was in terms of coming up with content, because you do have websites that actually give you like the skeleton of what kind of content you can create. Like, for example, a website that I discovered recently is called answerthepublic.com, which basically you just key in a word, and it's not sponsored by them. This video is not sponsored by them, but I'm just letting you guys know some of the tools that have really helped me along the way. So this one I discovered a couple of weeks back, and basically you key in a word and then it gives you questions that people are asking. For example, makeup, people are asking are wet wipes good for makeup? What do I do if I have oily skin? What do I do if I have acne? What kind of makeup is good for dry skin? You understand what I mean? So it does give you that skeleton or structure of how you can be able to frame your content. And in as much as you do have like the content, you actually also have to think about it in terms of the presentation. Have you ever gotten like food and then it's really nice food, but it's not been presented in an attractive way? So you also have to think about it in terms of presenting it in an attractive way. One of the ways, especially nowadays with Instagram, that really helps grow your audience or boost your audience engagement is reels. Because I realized, like, for example, Instagram is really pushing reels. So if you as a content creator discover that, then you have to actually make sure that you push yourself and do whatever it is that is trending. Like if it's a certain sound, and I'm not saying compromising in terms of like if it's not something that you believe in, or but just keep up to date with whatever trends are new and hot, and always try and push your content to be interesting and interactive, because other content creators are making their content interesting. So number two is making sure that your page looks like something a brand would be interested in working with. And that means posting consistently. Number one, you actually have to like show up for your brand or for yourself, because you are your own brand, consistently. So making sure that your page looks like something that they'd be interested in, and that means also scaling down. So for example, I am in the beauty and makeup industry, so I cannot, for example, post today about this beauty blender, and then tomorrow I post about my dog, and then the next day I post about these curtains, or the next day I post about this. You understand? Like you have to really try and niche down to whatever niche that you're trying to attract. So if it's family oriented, then you know which direction to go. If it's just business oriented, you know which direction to go. If you're into cars, you know which direction to go. So really try and niche down to be able to attract the kind of brands that resonate with whatever it is that you are putting up as a content creator. And I would recommend, if you don't know where to start, or if you're really green about it, just look at certain pages or certain content creators whose page or whose content actually resonates with the direction that you want to go, and pick up at one or two things about what they're doing and use it to be able to build your page or build whatever content that it is that you want to build. So coming up with interesting interactive content and making sure that your page or your website is really something that attracts a brand is really, really important to be able to get those brands to notice you. Okay, so you've already put your page, it's looking nice, it's looking fabulous. You're already consistent, you're already putting up content that is attractive to the brands that you want to partner with or to collaborate with. So now what is the next step? Do you sit down? Do you wait for brands to approach you? No. One thing that I learned earlier on is you might think that a lot of these brands know you, but they don't. I don't know who was saying that. There was someone's video who I was watching years back, and I think it was Nancy Mwai, and she said, those brands that you are waiting to approach you, they probably don't know who you are. Okay, so you have to make sure that you put yourself out there and make sure that they know who you are. So what I did, for example, when I was starting off, and when I felt like I was ready, because sometimes you feel like you're ready because everybody else is getting PR, but in actual fact you're not. Like, you have to get into the groove of actually constantly creating content, so that even when you do start collaborating with a brand, with the brands or with the companies, then you are someone who can deliver. Okay, you can't be like on and off, and then like expect it not to be the same way even when you're collaborating. So just really try. And I know it's hard to post every day. Even me, I'm always trying to push myself, but always try and show up for your brand. So how do you get brands to notice you? So when I was starting out, in terms of like the PR scene, if I can call it that, what I did is I made a proposal, and that sounds like real fancy, like I made a proposal, but I basically DM'd these companies. Okay, I DM'd them. I was like, I'm interested in this one, I've seen this one has nice products and all of that, and I actually DM'd them. And I made sure that even as I DM'd them, like the fast like page, like the way you go to someone's page, and then like the fast like couple of photos that you see, I made sure that like they were really attractive, and they're like really high quality, and they're really like eye-catching. So I DM'd these companies, and I tell them, I didn't assume actually they know who I am. No, don't ever assume they know who you are. So I reached out to them, and I told them, hi, my name is Michelle. I do makeup, and I do this and this and this and this, and I would love to be able to collaborate or partner with your brand in terms of being able to deliver this and this and this and this, and this is what I can offer you. And yeah, I sat down, prayed about it, and I was like, you know what, God, you do you. And I think I was really I wouldn't say lucky, I would say I was really blessed that these companies actually, they were interested also. I don't know if they had known about me before, but they were actually interested, and they reached out. Okay, some of them, kuna wengine walini lenga but it's okay. But for the most part, most of them reached back, and they told me, we love your work, we love what you're doing, so we're gonna send you this and this and this product, and this is what you're gonna do for us. Guys, another thing that I think I would really love to mention is that don't go at it blindly. And what do I mean by that? Make sure that you state what exactly it is that you can deliver. And that's something that I learned much later, because they would send me PR, they asked me, do this, I would do it, do this, I would do it, do this. And then later on, now as I grew, and I was like, man, I did a lot of free work, okay? And that's just the game for me. Like, that was just the game. It was a learning process for me, because in my mind, I didn't really understand that by me posting or putting out that, I'm using, for example, this powder, my followers would automatically go to their page, and some of them would translate into sales. You understand what I mean? So even a mention always can translate into a sale. So even when you're going into these partnerships, always make sure you state clearly what it is that you require of them, and what it is that you are willing to offer them, just so you don't have some back and forth and some contention later on, because you didn't make everything clear at the get-go. And also always make sure that you also set a time period. Like, for example, I'd like to do this for you within the week or within the month. It also gives the brand a clear picture as to what they can expect from you, because sometimes I've had product sent to me, or and then like the company immediately like tomorrow wants me to post. You understand what I mean? Like you have to have like that agreement. So for example, maybe I've traveled and the packages have come and they've just been staying there. But you just make sure you keep the communication open, and you tell them, what, I'm not around, but as soon as I get this and this and this is what I will be able to offer you. And another thing, especially in terms of reaching out or communicating, it's not only via DM, especially when you're reaching out to bigger companies. And this is what I have noticed, because I did send out proposals years back to like really big companies, and I never got a response. And the one thing that I learned, or I came to think about it, it's number one, either because they have followers in the millions, so I can imagine my DM getting lost in the rubble of like the millions of followers of in their DMs. So look at the company profile, or look at the page, and then whatever means of communication that they've said, whether it's DM or for more info, email, something, so then use that. Okay, don't DM and they've said on their page email. You understand? It would be much easier and much more fruitful for you to follow whatever steps is there. So if they say email, you email. If they say DM, you DM. If you need to do both, do both. Okay, like increase your chances of them actually seeing your message. And another thing, also look at the hashtags that these companies usually follow, and look at the hashtags that they usually tend to resonate with. Like for example, if they've released this new pen, and maybe the hashtag that they're using to push this pen is hashtag Panari pen. I'm not sponsoring Panari, by the way, I'm just saying because I'm using a Panari pen. So if it's, for example, hashtag Panari pen, then try and use those hashtags, because they will see it more, as opposed to just using a random hashtag that they have no idea about. I don't know if that makes sense. And another point is, if you are in a position to be able to purchase some of these products, or some of these, or even like go and have some of these services done, whether it's like hair or nails, then definitely. Whenever I'm filming, my kids always wanapatanga shughuli na mimi. They're like, mom, mom. When I'm not filming, nobody has any issue with me. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was saying. I've remembered. If you are in a position to be able to purchase some of these items, whether it's products, whether it's a service, maybe it's going to the salon or doing your nails, or buying a certain shoe or a certain piece of clothing, if you're able to buy it, then buy it, and then also tag them, mention them that I got this from this. This actually shows them that it puts you on their radar. You understand? It shows them that actually, like, why not work with this girl? Like, she's actually an actual customer. You understand what I mean? But if you're not in a position to be able to purchase, because I do understand, like, especially for makeup, that some of these products are usually like really, really expensive. For example, let's say you want to work with like, let me not name any company, but an international company, and one of their foundations, for example, goes for $100. You understand? And you don't have that $100 to spend on a foundation, then just use the other ways, in terms of the hashtags, in terms of reaching out to them via email or via DM, or via whichever contact person that they do put up. But yeah, if you are in a position to buy and purchase their products, definitely do so. It will put you in their radar. Yeah. Okay, the last thing that I'd like to say is, some brands, depending on them, like for example, as I told you guys, there are brands that I have approached who have completely languid me. But either way, whether a brand does like respond and actually go forward with the partnership or the collaboration or not, don't let it put you down. Okay, just keep creating content, keep engaging with your audience, keep putting up content that is entertaining and educative, because at the end of the day, someone will come. And it might not, the funny thing is, sometimes it's not like the most obvious person or the most obvious brand, but also just slowly grow and build your brand and your page, so that you can be able to get to the levels of the international content creators. And also, the last thing that I'd like to mention is, not every brand deal that you get is for you. Okay, there is a lot of people who will tell you, you know what, we're gonna pay you with exposure, we're gonna mention you, or you know, my daddy's uncle's sister's cousin's niece shushus is like having a wedding, you know, I'm gonna recommend you. Sometimes it's not always like that. Like, exposure does not pay bills, as you guys already know. So always make sure you gauge in terms of is it worth it for me to do this promotional service for free for this company? And that's not to say that none of them is worth it, because sometimes you could find that by working or by partnering with this brand or with this company, then it does give you more leverage even when another company approaches you. But you have to be like really be careful and like look at the pros and the cons of it in the long run. Like, is it beneficial to both of you, or is it just beneficial to one of the parties more than the other one? Because most of the time inakwanga beneficial to the brand, and then you're just over there creating content looking like a dumbass and you ain't getting paid. And then another thing, if someone comes up to you and tells you, you know, we don't have a budget for this, you know, we're just starting out and all of that, then I think one way that I've also learned how to sort of even it out, especially if it's a brand that I do want to work with, but they're just either they're not willing to pay or they're not able to pay, then what I like to do is, for example, I charge XYZ amount for pushing or promoting a certain product. Then if you're not able to pay that, then I would suggest that you give me your product or your service worth the amount that I would ideally charge you to promote or advertise your product or your brand. You understand what I mean? Like, if they're not able to pay you cash upfront, then, and it's something that you would like to do, then always try and push to get the product or the service in equal measure of what you would charge them. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, that is how personally I got PR. I started getting PR, especially when I was starting out. And I think right now more and more companies are reaching out to me without me even having to reach out to them, which is a good thing. But the one thing that always think about is not every brand is for you. Just because someone has a budget, that someone is willing to pay you to promote something, like there are people who have asked me to promote like some crazy things, and looking back, if I hadn't really looked through and skimmed through like the contract and really made sure that, you know, whatever it is I'm getting myself into is worth my time and worth me putting my name behind, then it would have been like really bad. So I hope with these few tips and points that I'm able to help some of you guys to be able to make your first or get your first PR package. And again, PR is exciting, guys, initially, and then you just kind of start seeing it as now I need to like sort of like work and do this, which is not a bad thing, especially if you're in that space. But I just want to demystify this whole idea that, you know, it's just PR and it's free products and it's roses and prom and, you know, like, no, it's like there is work that comes behind it. So if you are looking to get into that space, I do hope some of these tips will help you. And until next time, mwah. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that. And then if you do have a question or you'd like to continue the conversation, definitely let's do that in the comments down below. And until next time, I will see you guys. Na unataka kuona videos gani zingine that, you know, you want me to do? I'll let you go. Let me know. And also we look good, okay? Msijali kuhusu hizi ma dots tattoo, like you see, like I would have even put more over here, because I don't know, they like those, it's those pimples that they've not really flattened out kabisa. So yeah, have a great day, night, whatever it is, whatever time it is that you're watching, and see you.